his work, but he was very lonely and wished to have a son. One day, Geppetto was building. There was a wooden doll. He heard a voice saying, "Hello, father." The voice was from a wooden doll. Shep was very surprised, but then he was happy and named him Pinocchio. Geppetto told Pinocchio that if you want to be a real boy, you have to go to school and study. But Pinocchio didn't want to go to school, so he ran away from Geppetto's father and ran and went to play. Old Geppetto followed Pinocchio to catch him. Pinocchio entered a bakery and threw the bread into a mess. The baker informed the police. The police arrested poor Geppetto and won. Pinocchio was happy and said to himself, "Now I don't have to go to school anymore and I can play as much as I want." Pinocchio played all day and returned home in the evening, but Geppetto had not come yet. Pinocchio, who was tired and hungry, came out of the house and waited under the rain for Geppetto to come. No matter how long he waited, there was no news of Geppetto. Pinocchio, who was wet from the rain, had to go back home and sit next to the heater to warm himself. He had jumped up and down all day, so he fell asleep there and did not notice that his legs were burning. In the middle of the night, Geppetto returned home and saw that Pinocchio's legs were burned. Geppetto said to Pinocchio, "Don't worry, I will make new legs for you." Geppetto fixes Pinocchio's legs. Geppetto worked until the morning and made new legs for Pinocchio. Pinocchio also apologized to him and promised to be a good boy and from tomorrow go to school. Pinocchio, who hadn't eaten anything since the night before and was hungry, Geppetto brought him some pears to eat and be satisfied. That day, Geppetto bought Pinocchio an alphabet book so that he could go to school tomorrow. Pinocchio thanked him. He was happy that he wanted to go to school. The next morning Pinocchio picked up his book and walked towards the school. He reached near the school when a sound caught his attention. Near the school was a circus who was having a puppet show. Pinocchio forgot his promise, sold his alphabet book and bought a circus ticket with his money to watch the show. Pinocchio at the circus. When Pinocchio saw wooden puppets playing on the stage, he also went on the stage, but the strings of the puppets were tied together and the show was ruined. People laughed when they saw this scene. The circus owner was very angry and wanted to throw Pinocchio in the fire, but when Pinocchio told him the story, he was heartbroken and let him go and gave Pinocchio 5 gold coins to buy another book for himself. Pinocchio went home smiling and happy. This time he really wanted to buy himself an alphabet book and go to school, but on the way, the cat and the fox saw Pinocchio and planned to get his coins. They told Pinocchio, "If you plant your coins next to the miracle tree in the forest, the minister will sleep on the tree will grow coins and you will become rich. We will show you the miracle tree." Fox and cat lied to Pinocchio. He followed them, buried his money and slept there, but when he woke up, he saw that he was hanging from a tree. The cat and the fox had dug the ground and taken the coins, then they tied Pinocchio and ran away. A kind fairy who always watched over Pinocchio sent a falcon to save him. Poor Pinocchio, who was hanging from the tree for several hours in the cold weather, was sick. The kind fairy put him to bed and brought him medicine. Pinocchio asked if this medicine is bitter. The fairy answered yes, but you have to eat it to get better. Fairy takes care of Pinocchio. But Pinocchio said, "I don't like to take bitter medicine." The fairy said, "If you don't eat, you will die." Then he clapped his hands and 4 rabbits came with a coffin came on their back. Pinocchio, who was very scared, said, "No matter how bitter it is, I will eat the medicine." When Pinocchio got better, the kind fairy asked him, "Why didn't you go to school? What happened to the alphabet book?" Pinocchio said, "I was going to school when I saw a poor child. I sold my book to buy him food." As Pinocchio was talking, his nose started to lengthen and the moment was getting longer. Pinocchio was scared. He said, "Oh, my nose, why is my nose long?" The fairy said, "Because you lied." Pinocchio lies to fairy. When Pinocchio promised not to lie again, the kind fairy asked the woodcutter to fix Pinocchio's nose. Pinocchio said goodbye to the kind fairy and went home, but on the way to a carriage hit when he was going to the amusement park. Pinocchio forgot everything and got into the carriage and went to the amusement park with other children. The children played in the amusement park every day and Pinocchio had so much fun that he decided to stay there forever. But after a while he noticed that his ears had changed, and he had a tail. All the children gradually turned into donkeys. Pinocchio wanted to go home, but it was too late. Pinocchio and the carriage. The owner of the carriage sold all the children to a circus. The owner of the circus was a cruel and greedy man. He forced them to perform dangerous shows every day. One day, while jumping through the ring of fire, Pinocchio fell and broke his leg. The owner of the 31 got angry and ordered Pinocchio thrown into the sea. Pinocchio was thrown into the sea. The fishes gathered around him and bit him. Little by little, the skin of the donkey broke and Pinocchio came out. He was very happy to be back to his original state. Whale eats Pinocchio. Suddenly, a giant whale approached Pinocchio from behind and swallowed him. It was very dark inside the whale's belly, but when Pinocchio looked closely, he noticed a light at the bottom of the whale's belly. Pinocchio swam to the light and was very happy to see Geppetto's in the whale's belly. They hugged each other. Geppetto said, "When you didn't come home that day, I was worried about you and I came to the sea to find you, but this whale swallowed me." Pinocchio and Geppetto at whale belly. Pinocchio, who regretted his actions, apologized to Geppetto. They waited for the whale to open its mouth and then ran away. Pinocchio, who was wooden and could not drown, "Help you." They finally reached the shore. Pinocchio took old Geppetto home and took care of him. Every day he cooked healthy food for his father to make Geppetto feel better. When Geppetto got better and was able to get out of bed, the kind fairy appeared and told Pinocchio that "You have shown that you deserve to be a real boy," and then with a wave of her magic wand, she turned Pinocchio into a real boy who he achieved his wish and lived happily with his son until the end of his life. Pinocchio becomes a real boy. Pinocchio becomes a real boy.
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, a very interesting story.
Welcome friends. In the distant past, in a remote village, a girl named Dorothy lived with her uncle and her uncle's wife. Dorothy also had a small dog that started barking whenever anyone came near their house. One day when everyone was working, a big tornado was approaching in the distance. Uncle told Dorothy to come home early. Dorothy started running towards the house. Dorothy went home to be safe from the tornado, but the tornado was coming straight towards their house. Dorothy looked out the window and then ducked under the table. Dorothy screamed for help, but no one could hear her. The tornado took Dorothy's cabin and her dog with it and left it on the ground in a strange land. Dorothy slowly opened the door and looked outside. She had never seen it before. Suddenly a voice said to her, "Welcome to the land of Ounce, lady." She saw a fairy with wings. "I haven't killed anyone. I don't even know where I am now," Dorothy said in surprise. The kind fairy took her to the wall of the house and said that she was crushed under the hut. "Now you can take her silver shoes for yourself." Dorothy said, "I don't want silver shoes, but I want to go back to our village to my uncle and my uncle's wife." The fairy said, "A lot of strength is needed. I don't have that much strength." Then the kind fairy showed a path to Dorothy and said, "If you go this way, you will definitely end up in the town of Ounce. When you see the witch of Ounce Town, tell her that Glinda sent you and she will help you because of me." Dorothy put on the silver shoes and started walking. She had to go a long way to get to Ounce. Glinda waved at her and said, "I hope you get home soon." Dorothy was walking with her little dog when she came upon a scarecrow. Scarecrow said, "Where are you going?" Dorothy said, "We are going to the Wizard of Ounce to make our wish come true." Scarecrow said, "I have a big wish too. Will you let me come with you? I don't have a brain, but I like to think maybe the Wizard of Ounce can give me a brain." Dorothy said, "It's okay, you come with me," and the Scarecrow went with them. They went and went until they came to one Tin Man. Tin Man saw them and asked, "Where are you going?" Dorothy said, "We each have a wish. The only one who can give us help is the Wizard of Ounce." Tin Man said, "I always had a big wish, but I never got it. I need a heart to be able to feel like humans. If you let me come with you too." The Tin Man also accompanied them until they saw a lion on the road. The lion was sitting and crying. He was a cowardly lion. He also had a big wish. He wanted to be brave so that he could be the king of the forest. When he found out where Dorothy and her companions were going, said, "I want to come with you to get courage from the Wizard of Ounce. I want to be a brave lion." They went and went until they reached a valley. Dorothy said sadly, "What should we do now?" The Scarecrow saw a tree by the side of the valley and said to his friends, "I have an idea. If the Tin Man cuts down that tree, we can throw the tree trunk over the valley. Let's cross it like a bridge." Everyone liked the idea of the Scarecrow. The Tin Man did the same thing, and the tree fell on the door. The lion said, "Let me cross first. If there is no danger, you can also cross." The lion crossed the bridge, and when there was no problem, the others followed him. Everyone went and went until they reached the city of Ounce. The city was green. The city gate officer gave each of them a pair of glasses so that the green light of the city wouldn't bother them. Then he guided them to the great wizard's room. The Wizard of Ounce's face was like a picture on the wall. The wizard asked them to tell their wishes. When he heard their wishes, he said that all of your wishes will come true if you can destroy the Wizard of the West. The West is harassing people and doing evil things. The four companions decided to go to the war of the Wizard of the West. When the Wizard of the West heard the news, he laughed loudly and ordered to arrest them and take them to prison. The agents of the Witch of the West, who were monkeys, arrested them and took them to the witch. Seeing Dorothy's silver shoes, the witch said, "These shoes belonged to my brother, give them to me quickly." The Witch of the West knew that those shoes were magical and had great power. Dorothy refused. The Witch of the West got angry and shook Dorothy in the air several times until the shoes fell off her feet. Dorothy screamed, "God help me!" The witch started laughing and said, "God can't help you." Dorothy was very upset with the witch. She got up and said, "You are a bad, ugly, wicked witch." Then she looked for something to throw at the witch. But to the surprise of the witch, she began to scream while shouting, "I wish those shoes weren't on your feet. I wish I could take them." And then she melted. Then Dorothy and his friends returned to the city of Ounce. The Wizard of Ounce was waiting for them. Dorothy's dog's foot got stuck in a curtain, and the curtain fell. Everyone was surprised to see an ordinary man sitting on a chair. Dorothy asked, "Who are you?" The man said, "I'm the Wizard of Ounce." I'm not actually a wizard, but a scientist. The Scarecrow said angrily, you tricked us. We listened to you but you can't help us. Tin Man angrily said, you are a trickster. Lion said, you promised us. Ounce said, I will fulfill all your wishes. He came out from behind the curtain and said, about the Scarecrow, I must say that he has a brain but he doesn't know about it. If he didn't think, how did he know that he can build a bridge with a tree? The Tin Man also has a heart because he has good friends, but I have a metal heart for him. I will fix. The Lion also has courage because he was willing to cross the bridge first to test its danger. In this trip, you have all achieved your dreams. Only Dorothy has to achieve her dream and return to her uncle and his uncle's wife. For this, I have a good invention, with the help of which Dorothy can return to her village. Ounce took out a big hot air balloon from the storage and started to inflate it. Then he tried the balloon and said, you can see that it can fly with this device. He ballooned and went to the sky. The Lion, the Woodcutter and the Scarecrow said goodbye to Dorothy and returned to their home. Ounce brings a hot air balloon. Dorothy and Member 2 had been on the road for 2 days. He knew where Dorothy's house was because Ounce was a scientist and had complete geographical information. He went until Dorothy happily saw their village from afar. Uncle and Uncle's wife built a new house. They were. Dorothy was very happy to see them. The Member gave Dorothy a lot of emeralds that were worth a lot. He told her that you helped us a lot by destroying the Witch of the East and the West. I hope you will always live happily with your uncle and your cousin's wife. After that, Dorothy lived happily with her family. She sometimes told her story to her friends, and if anyone didn't believe her story, she showed them a piece of emerald that belonged to the city of Ounce. Dorothy came home.
Hey story lovers, have you ever found yourself wanting to help someone so badly that you jumped in without thinking? Today I have a short but powerful story about why helping too soon might actually be a mistake. One beautiful morning, a man stumbled upon a cocoon of a butterfly. He decided to sit and watch the butterfly as it struggled to free itself from its tiny prison. For hours he watched as the butterfly wrestled with the cocoon, trying to push its body through a tiny hole. But then something unexpected happened. The butterfly seemed to stop making progress. It looked like it had gotten as far as it could and it couldn't go any further. The man, feeling both sympathy and a sense of urgency, decided to help. He took out a pair of scissors and snipped off the remaining bit of the cocoon. The butterfly came out with ease, but there was a problem. The butterfly had a swollen body and small, shriveled wings. The man continued to watch, expecting at any moment that the wings would enlarge and expand to support the body, which would contract over time. But nothing changed. The butterfly spent the rest of its life crawling around with its swollen body and shriveled wings, never able to fly. In his kindness and haste, the man had overlooked something crucial. The restricting cocoon and the struggle required for the butterfly to emerge were nature's way of forcing fluid from its body into its wings. Without the struggle, the butterfly was never able to develop the strength it needed to fly. So, what can we learn from this? Sometimes struggles are exactly what we need in our lives. They help us grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. When we face challenges, we are being prepared for greater things. Helping others is a beautiful thing, but we must be mindful of how and when we offer that help. Sometimes allowing someone to struggle and face their challenges head-on is the best way to help them grow. Remember this story the next time you see someone fighting their way through a tough situation. Maybe, just maybe, their struggle is exactly what they need to become the best version of themselves. That's it for today, folks. If you enjoyed this story, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring tales. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep sharing your light with the world. See you in the next video.
In the heart of the woods, hope lay hidden. A young dreamer wandered, hungry for change. He stumbled upon a treasure. The crystal pulsed with energy, whispering promises of a better tomorrow. His thoughts turned to home. Despair shadowed the streets. Hunger gnawed at every heart. Rumors reached the greedy sovereign. The message echoed in the opulent halls, a boy with a crystal. Resentment brewed within her. She plotted. The boy's magic must belong to her alone. The soldiers approached, a wall of menace, the innocent village on the brink of despair. The crystal responded. It cloaked him in brilliance, illuminating his resolve. Anger etched her features. She misjudged the boy's spirit, blinded by her own hunger. He conjured dreams. Laughter and abundance painted the air, inviting hearts to awaken. A moment of clarity washed over her. The allure of greed faltered, revealing the essence of humanity. The kingdom breathed anew. Kindness overflowed, stitching hearts together in harmony. The crystal's magic belonged to all, a realm reborn where compassion reigned supreme.